box, and I'm here with the 5th episode of Witch BookTube review, which I think is just the best thing ever because it's literally been 5 weeks of doing this, 5 books that I've read. It's exciting, and I love the idea of doing this with like kind of the excuse that it's for work, but really it's all about the love because I haven't read this much in a long time and I really needed it, I gotta tell you. And there's something also really cool about having been a witch for a very, very long time, and I've studied with a lot of people back in the days. I read a lot of books, and throughout the years I keep reading every once in a while, but because my life has been so busy, I haven't been reading as much as I'm doing now. What I'm finding is that there's just something really enlivening about reading some of this material again and kind of triggering memories of, oh yeah, I used to do that, or oh my God, I completely forgot about that. So it's really been an enriching experience, which is really the mission behind doing these book reviews, is to help you find books that continue to enrich your path. All that said, here is today's book. It is Modern Witchcraft, a book of love spells by Skye Alexander. And the tagline is Your Complete Guide to Attracting Passion, Love, and Romance. It's a beautifully designed book. This is a series that's been going on, and it's out of Simon & Schuster, the publishing house. I really love it. There are several writers who have contributed to this series, and I've got quite a few of them, so I will be reading them throughout the course of the next couple of seasons and sharing those with you. Skye Alexander has been around for a very long time, and homegirl knows her stuff. Skye Alexander is the award-winning author of more than 30 fiction and nonfiction books, including The Modern Guide to Witchcraft, The Modern Witchcraft Spellbook, The Modern Witchcraft Grimoire, and The Modern Witchcraft Book of Tarot. Her stories have been published in anthologies internationally, and her work has been translated into more than a dozen languages. The Discovery Channel featured her doing a ritual at Stonehenge on TV in the special Secret Stonehenge. She divides her time between Texas and Massachusetts. She's definitely worth a read. I have known of Skye Alexander for quite a while, and I chose this book for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think I mentioned last week that one of the most common questions that I get from all of you is how to practice or enhance your psychic and intuitive skills. It's one of the most asked questions. The other most asked question is, can you do a love spell for me? Can you help me get him back? Can you help me get her back? Can you help me strengthen my relationship or avoid a breakup or anything related to love? This is super common because really we all want to be paired with someone. We all love love. It's one of the bigger, I don't know, energies in our life really when we pair with someone. So I have, over the course of my public time as a witch in this capacity, in a professional capacity, have avoided answering those questions directly because typically, being the girl that I am, I'd want to get down and dirty with you, and I'd be like, you know, but do you really want this person back if they left you? You know, I can't help but get into the nitty-gritty of a relationship. And for me, oftentimes that makes creating a spell a little too simplistic, a little too myopic. A relationship and connection between people can be a complex thing of many, many layers, right? I've totally avoided it until this last December. As a lot of you know, in our subscription box, I sent out 2, I think 3 books, and that kind of started off this entire new theme of we need to read, right? And I included this book in quite a few of the boxes. And one of the subscribers said to me, well, I'm not really needing a love spell, so I don't know if this book is necessarily appropriate for me. And my response to her was that, you know, love is love. It doesn't have to be romantic. And this segues into the book because this book deals with love spells, typically romantic love spells, but there are other spells. There's a whole depth and range of work that can be done around love and spell work that isn't just the let me get him to like me or let me get her to not leave me, right? There is a whole world of love and how that affects who we are as people, how that affects us spiritually. And even though this book does predominantly focus on romantic love, she covers so many aspects of a relationship that I think this is a super healthy book to have if love spells are one of your focuses. And I'll tell you why. Love spells for enhancing communication between friends. Love spells for increasing your level of self-care and self-respect. Important work. We actually did some of that work in our Harvesting the Honey Coven journey that I am currently in, that we're in as a small group through the Witch's Box. This is such an important aspect of love. How are we loving ourselves, and how does that then translate into how we love other people. I love it. Here's the other thing I really loved about this book. She covers a wide variety of different types of spells and then tells you why these different aspects of spell work works, why you create a spell the way you would. There's a lot of information for people who are new to spellcraft. You will learn a lot about magic in general with this book. And if you are, you know, an oldie but a goodie, and you know your stuff, this is a huge refresher, and it gives you a deeper breadth of information in terms of how to approach love spell work. I loved it. I really loved it. She covers in the very beginning things like casting a circle, how to create your own altar. In the back, very similar to the way that Scott Cunningham did in the other book that we reviewed, Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. He had a section in the back about how to like create and construct your own spell. She does the same. So she gives you a lot of spells here to work with. But in the end of the book, there's also a section on how to construct your own, given the information that she's given you about the tools to use, the herbs to use, the gems to use. She goes into visual magic. She touches on sigil magic, elemental magic. There's a whole, I can't even tell you. I love when books do this, and one day this is the book I'm going to write. She has a whole section on kitchen witchery and food recipes for magic. Come on. Seriously, you can't beat that. She knows her stuff. There's a lot of information from other magicians in here as well that she quotes and brings references from. I know that some of you really like to see the inside of a book. You know, I got notes everywhere. And there are some of you who really just can't handle when people like write up in their books like this, but I have always been a pretty huge note taker. I always circle things, I underline things. If I want to come back to it later, those notes really help me. I wanted to address the energetic behind a lot of the love spells that we do in our lives and how she addresses it here. All of the spells in here except for one was manipulative, and the one that was potentially manipulative in terms of trying to enforce your will on someone else who may not be interested in you. The one spell that was sort of slightly potentially that, she has a disclaimer in it, and she specifically tells you how to work it in such a way where it is not manipulative. So this is important because a lot of people are very concerned about love magic in terms of whether or not it manipulates either person. None of the spells in here are manipulative in that way. None of them are created or intended to enforce your will upon someone else. There are some people who practice magic who have no issue with that, and then there are a lot of people, or some people who practice magic who do have issue with that. This book does not promote that, and it does not intend to do that. You can take these spells and you can do whatever you want with it. Your will is your own and your choices are your own, but this is not that book. The other thing I will say about that, and without really imposing judgment on it one way or another, magic that's done out of desperation never works in the way that you want it to. And I can say that as a complete absolute. And oftentimes the love spells that we cast are out of desperation because we're in pain, because we are desperate to get the love back, because we're desperate to get love in general. And there is a vacuum within us from which we are creating this spell, and it just does not work the way we need it or want it to. This is important. So when you cast any spell, it doesn't have to necessarily be love, because it can also be for money, it can be for all sorts of things. When you are in a state of emotional desperation for something and you need something fast, the energy and the intentions are not what you think that they are, and your spell work will turn out results but not necessarily what you want. This is important to remember because a lot of these spells are very conscious. They're very, I would say actually, all of these spells are very conscientious, very clearly intended. When you create magic out of a place of clarity, stability, I would say potentially a lot of confidence, it's a different result. You're gonna get a whole different reverberation in your energy than you do when you are just desperate for something right now. I need it right now. It's a whole other energetic. So that, what I just said, isn't covered in here. However, know that the spells in this book do not come from that space. And often, compassionately, when I get requests from some of you about love spells, it's from this energetic. And my advice on that would be, stop. Just stop and acknowledge, yes, you are in pain, and yes, there is a need that needs to be filled, absolutely. But until you can create for yourself some sense of groundedness and stability and an awareness that you will be okay no matter what, I don't recommend doing that kind of spell work. I just don't. It's not really addressing the issue. You think that it will, but it's not. So this is why there's a lot of complexity that goes on there, because each one of us comes to the table with all sorts of different needs and dynamics and issues. And so it's not necessarily the type of work that I engage with other people in until there is either some more of an intimate relationship where we're having some sort of a deeper coaching type of relationship, or I just know you and I can maybe give you a little bit of different guidance or a little bit of a different spell to help address the deeper need that creates that kind of anxious need, right? That's a whole little like lesson, I guess. It's impossible, actually. It's impossible to avoid that kind of conversation when you're dealing with love spells. And so, boom, love spells, read it, get it. I love it. I thought she was really sound. I will recommend this. I totally recommend this. This is the book, the spine, the back. The author's name is Skye Alexander. I will put the information down below. Yeah, and it was a really easy read. I'd like to tell you the cost. US $15.99, Canada $21.99, and as always, you can get it cheaper on Amazon. Sometimes also on Barnes & Nobles, you can get it a little bit of a cheaper rate because they've got discounts. But I will link all of that below, and I will talk to you all next week.